Welcome back to the Pack Chat, our student voice opinion segment. I'm joined today by my co-host Victor Martinez and Sam Mack, as well as our guest co-host Avery Emmert, as we discuss this week's most trending topic. With that being said, let's get started. Last night was the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and wow, are people talking about it. One of the points that everyone is talking about is the lack of professionalism that we saw.
His FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
well, then, you know what? We're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
Excuse me, Chris. Wait. Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you were number two.
No.
Gentlemen, which was heavily.
Mr. President,
you would have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President.
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're not
Mr. President, as
shut
a
him
moderator, I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice, but I
he's
see
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why should I be different than the two of you? President Trump, Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating.
If you guys want to elaborate, please go for it.
It just felt like watching two 12-year-olds argue about a toy, just shouting at each other, and you can't hear what they're saying because their words are just overlapping each other, and it's like, okay. That's
Really, there was a There
Exactly.
was a lack of professionalism, I think, from both sides. It's just the fact that they kept stepping over each other. They kept interrupting the moderator, interrupting each other. Even during those 2 minutes of time where it was specified that they weren't supposed to speak over the other person, it was just honestly a mess.
Yeah, like the moderator.
And it's two adult men. You should know that you each have 2 minutes, each of y'all do. And if that were me, I would probably come up with a tactic to think about what they're saying and then have more knowledge and sound smarter when it's my turn.
Yes, for sure. And I saw something about the lack of talking about policy. It wasn't even a debate. They weren't even talking about how they wanted to, be a president or whatnot. It was literally just them arguing back and forth about stuff that they wanted to go at with each other.
Mm-hmm. So much of it was personal too, Trump bringing up Biden's son and everything like that.
The drug.
So much of it had nothing to do with their policy or what they wanted to do as a president, and so much more to do with something completely personal.
For sure. And, how long Trump went on about, Hunter Biden's involvement with Russia, I was like, let's move it on to the next one. For sure. And, I have been seeing a lot of stuff about the moderator, right? So to be in front of these two men, I couldn't even imagine watching this in person or for that fact to be the moderator. And I've seen just so much stuff about the moderator, so many jokes about who knows how he got there like that. But something I did see is that a lot of people felt that the moderator was left-leaning. What do y'all think about that?
I think to start out, he definitely was, but then towards it got going, and it got a little bit better. But I still think it was a little bit left-leaning. And I think just for him, that just probably was the worst night he's ever had. You got two of the biggest egos on the planet just in one room, and I kind of think his job was impossible.
Exactly.
I completely agree with that.
Exactly. And obviously in today's climate, a huge issue that a lot of people wanted to see be addressed on or at this debate was, the racial inequality in America. And, so each person, Donald and Joe, were both given 2 minutes, to talk about this. And, both of them only took 67 seconds. What do y'all think about that? This is a huge issue. Obviously, so Biden called Trump racist in front of everyone, but what do y'all think?
Well, whenever the third guy, what's he called?
The moderator?
Yes, the moderator. Sorry, no. Whenever the moderator asked Trump to speak on white supremacy, Trump kind of ignored it, and he was kind of dodging the question, and I was just very shocked by that.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by it, but he wouldn't.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the most revealing part of the debate, the fact that Trump was directly asked to speak against, and denounce white supremacy, and all he could say was talking about the Proud Boys and like to stand back and stand by, and because of like, you know, dangers or whatever from the left. And I just think that like that was a simple yes or no question, and the fact that he had to elaborate like that and couldn't just like straight up answer it, just like, in my opinion, says a lot about like, you know, what his like thoughts are on the situation.
My whole thing with that is that Joe Biden wasn't much better. He lied about something that was quoted about what he said in an interview in 1994.
Oh, for sure. The lies there from both sides were a bit crazy. It almost got to the point where I was like, y'all have to be making this up. At this point, I was like, I actually saw a tweet that was like, someone seriously needs to fact check that debate. But moving on, I want to talk about you know, the climate change issue. I want to talk about their responses to being asked about climate change. What do y'all think about how they handled that question? You know, obviously Trump suddenly says that he never said climate change is real, but he did say that, you know, he would like to, you know, lower emissions and whatnot, which is something that I haven't ever heard him say before. So what do y'all think about that?
I mean, I think it's good that he said it, because I think overall, I think people in general just don't really see it as like that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think for him to like say something about it last night really it kind of just like, he might have not said it before, but I think the fact that he brought it up, he's like, hey, like this is real. Like it happens. I think that was a good thing.
For sure. And what do y'all think about Victor? I'm actually really curious to see what you think about Biden coming out and saying he doesn't support the Green New Deal. While I feel like that's not necessarily new information, obviously it probably would be concluded that he would support his own environmental deal. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think like the Green New Deal is definitely something that is like much more progressive. And, you know, Biden, even though he is like a Democratic candidate, he is not the most progressive Democrat. And it's, what I admire about it is the fact that he was talking about how, even though he personally doesn't agree with the Green New Deal, he's working with people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to develop something new. And that's something that she like tweeted about, because people were coming at her saying that like, oh, Biden doesn't support your Green New Deal, which you say is so essential, which you say that we need now. And then like what she responded with was the fact that they are collaborating, they are working together, they are trying to find like a compromise, they're trying to find something that we can actually put forward right now to like help and fix that situation.
And lastly, I just want to end off on what they ended off on, talking about the voter or the election legitimacy and whether or not each one would accept those results at the end of the election. We have seen how President Trump feels about mail-in ballots. He doesn't like them. He's not a fan of them. He thinks that they will lead to voter fraud. So he said that he's going to have to see. He would not say whether or not he would accept the results of the election. What do y'all think about this?
I think at the end of the day, both of them would struggle to accept the outcome, whoever wins or loses.
That is what I thought, but Biden said. He said last night, if I lose, that's it. I lose.
That's the thing. That's the one thing that Trump cannot like.
Yeah.
He has said if he loses, there's going to be a struggle to switch power, which is kind of dumb. It'd be like the first time or second
That's
time.
alarming to me.
But I think at the end of the day, if you get down to it, that because just this year in general just made everything a lot more whack. So I don't think both would be okay with the end results.
And I mean, at the end of the day, there's been so many people that have like come out and said, don't worry, because if, regardless, whoever loses the election, it's under, the Constitution and everything that they have to leave, the White House or, never enter. So it should be fine. Sorry, Victor.
I was going to say my only worry about that, though, is the fact that Trump alluded to that himself, is the fact that if he were to question the results of the election, he would be able to take that issue up to the Supreme Court. And if he's recently nominated a justice that now makes the panel a majority of his supporters, that could be something that was something that was kind of mentioned or talked about in the debate. like something that could swing his way. And honestly, I think that's the most alarming thing, because he kind of tries to bring up this whole thing of voter fraud, that like these things aren't legitimate, like this whole thing about like seeing ballots dumped in a river or something. And like Biden tried to interject at that point that he has no evidence of that. Most of those claims about like fraudulent mail-in ballots and everything are completely ungrounded. And as Biden said, he votes by mail. And I thought that was a really great point for him to bring up, because that's something that Trump villainizes. And I think, like, personally, I think he's trying to do that so that he can question the results of the election and claim that it's fraudulent. And that's why I was really alarmed by the fact that he wouldn't like outright say that he would at least like agree to wait until all the ballots had been counted after election day and not claim victory.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I mean, we have 2 more of these to go. I can't tell if that's good or bad. I guess we'll see. Be embarrassed for 2 more nights. And that's all you have for today's Pack Chat. Thank y'all for tuning in. And remember, T-Wolf Pack, there's always time to chat.